We're live. We are live. Let's just double check. How are you doing today,
Great, great. Can't complain.
Mrs.? The Mrs. How's the Mrs. doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing
I'm
today?
doing very well. I can't complain at all. Not one bit. Not one bit. Just want to make sure we have some audio over here. How are you all doing? Thank you all for joining us. We have two people on the stream so far. Drop a
Excellent.
comment down. Hello, C. Allen Best. Thank you so much for jumping on the show tonight. Can you hear us? Is audio good? Is audio playing? I believe it
I
is.
believe it is.
Let's just double
Excellent. You gonna double
check.
check? Excellent. Well,
You go ahead and
okay.
entertain
All right. Well, so today we're going to be talking about Arlington, Virginia. So we are going to discuss. There we go.
Excellent. We're here.
We just want to make
We're
sure. We
here.
want to make sure people can hear us. All right.
So first off, the way these sessions go, we usually tackle one new area per week.
Mhm.
This week we're talking about Arlington, like the missus said, and we like to start the show off with just like a real estate topic that's relevant to what's going on in the market right now. Because if you're watching this, we assume that you're into real estate or you are my mom. Which hi mom.
Hi, Mary.
Yes. How you doing? You call her Mary like that?
I really do not.
Wow.
I said Mary, and I was
Why?
like, she is definitely going to send a
We're
message.
from the South.
Yeah,
too.
I call my mother-in-law Miss Mary. I
Hmm.
do not call her Mary.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah,
Wow.
I've never called her Mary before.
Sheesh.
Let's hope she's
Sheesh.
not watching. How about that?
Yeah, well, yes. All right. So we like to talk about one relevant real estate topic, and right now, one of the topics that I think is relevant, or we've actually heard it today. Well, yesterday,
Within the last 2 days, yeah.
the last 2 days, and then also it came up a few weeks ago, is about appraisals.
Mhm.
So appraisals are going to be a hot topic, I would say, for the next year at least, because just in Arlington alone, because we're talking about Arlington today, the sales price has increased by 12% year over year. So, well, it decreased. I'm sorry, it decreased. The sales price in September 2021 has decreased 12% from September 2020. So that means that we have individuals who thought their house was worth 12% more than they're getting now, and they're starting to sell. And what does that mean for buyers? Well, that means that you're going to be putting offers on properties where the list price may be, high for your liking. And what does that mean? Well, the main thing that means is that the appraisal is going to come into play here much more. It's going to be a bigger contender, I think, coming up than in previous. Well, really, just
in
a
the
few months
recent,
ago.
well, in the recent past is what
Right.
we're really seeing. Because earlier this year, we felt that everything was appraising.
Right. Everything
That's the
was
impression
appraising.
we got. We felt like everything was appraising. And slowly over the last few months, as things have started to slow down a little bit, I guess you would say that that's maybe not the case anymore.
Yeah, I would say that that's not the case. Well, as the market slows down, prices are not appreciating like they were last year because prices aren't appreciating as much. And this is the thing when you're working with sellers. Most sellers have an idea of when they're going to be selling their properties, and so they project into the future based on today's average sales prices, right?
Yeah.
So if you have somebody like right now, we have clients that are getting ready for spring, summer 2022 sales, right? They're getting to either relocate out of the area or downsize, upsize, what have you. Those particular clients are looking at today's sales prices and saying, okay, great. If I'm selling next year, then I'm going to have X amount of percent increase in my sales price, right? Well, with the Arlington numbers that we're going to be reviewing coming up, we'll see that the Arlington numbers are not stagnant, but there really is not much movement in the sales price. So if you thought that your property was worth more, then you're going to put your house on the market for more. If there's still low inventory right now, so that means that the properties that are coming on the market are still going to be getting offers on them.
Maybe just not as quickly as 60 days ago.
That's true. That's true. And we're going to talk about the days on market coming up in the next section. So what happens? What happens if you put a house under contract? It's the list price, right? Or it's what the seller wanted to get for the property, or what the listing agent put the house on the market for. What happens if the appraisal comes in and it's too low? Well, before we talk about what happens after there's a low appraisal, let's just kind of dispel any myths out there right now about what the purpose of the appraisal is. Some buyers, and I've had this come across with our clients as well, where they believe that the home buyers believe that the appraisal is there to protect them.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Or they think it's how much the house is worth.
Right. Or they think it's how much the house is worth. And both of those assumptions are incorrect. The appraisal is not there to protect you, and it is not there. It's not a real.
It's not proof of what your home is worth.
It's not proof of what your home is worth.
Mm-hmm.
And the best thing to, I guess, describe this or kind of dispel this myth is to understand how an appraisal even works. What you have is you have a human, a regular human. Sometimes it's actually because we have a deal under contract right now that we close tomorrow where it's just an automated system, right?
Yes.
So there's two types of appraisal. There's an automated version where, based on what the sale, if there's a lot of sales in a particular market, a computer.
They have a computer. Yeah, they waived it and did like computer generated.
Yes, it's computer generated.
Yeah.
Yep.
But most often we see this other kind.
The most often we see one where individual,
a licensed appraiser.
Yes, a human, a regular human, feet, toes, arms, legs, everything, right? This person comes into the property and they walk the property, they evaluate, they do a visual inspection of the property, and then they go back to their computers and they figure out, right, based on what has sold in the market, and they compare the subject property, so the property that the
client has on the contract.
Yes, that's called the subject property, and they look for something called comparables or comps, right? Well, those comps, if the prices are starting to decrease, then the appraisal is going to come in low.
It could.
Yeah.
It could. And it just depends. And they're subjective. And that's what we always tell clients is that appraisals are subjective. So it really just depends on, there's no science to it. So it depends on who the appraiser is, because you can get, Ryan one day, and you might get Jonathan at the house a few doors down, and both of them may look at the same information and come up with different numbers.
Exactly.
And so that's why we tell it's not a science.
It's not a science.
It's just like when you come up with a list price with a client of ours, we provide them with the comps.
Yes.
And those comps there's going to be a range, and then our clients, you may tell them, I'm thinking between this number and this number.
Right.
And typically the client is going to say, well, I want to come up with $10,000 more than that. Right.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Oftentimes, yes.
Oftentimes, right? So and that's subjective. And then you put the house on the market and you see how it goes. And so with the appraiser, this is one person's opinion, but it's the opinion that probably matters most, because it's the opinion that the bank is looking at.
Yes, and the bank is going to try to protect themselves with these appraisals. So when we do get an appraisal, and if it is low, then that is really a signal for the bank that this is too much risk for them, right? Mm-hmm. It's too much risk for them. Now, this isn't to say that the home isn't worth the appraised value. So we have to separate
the sales contract, the contracted value.
Yes. Yeah, so you have to separate appraisal, right? The appraised value and what the property is worth, because what the property is worth is also subjective to you,
the buyer.
Just one person, just one person.
So for if you're using a conventional loan, not a government-backed loan, then usually you have some options. So what are those options? If an appraisal does come in low, there are 3 scenarios there. So what are those? What are those 3 scenarios? Why am I asking you?
Yeah, why
am I teeing a question up for you?
Why don't you just say
okay? So in the scenario when appraisal comes in low, you have 3 options. You can proceed and bring the difference to the table, or you can go back to the seller and renegotiate. Perhaps the seller will meet you in the middle, or they'll cover the difference and reduce the sales price, and then finally you can walk away. If you can't come to terms with the seller, then you may just end up voiding that contract.
Gotcha. Okay. See, we were going different places.
Where were you going?
I was about to go with, if the appraisal comes in low, you can actually contest the appraisal. Now, that's very challenging to do, and usually it never works, but that is the option that I was thinking.
An option, and it may be an option, because we actually, this is years ago. It's been years since we actually had a low appraisal come in for a seller, but we had one a few years ago, and we offered to provide comps and everything, and the buyer actually said that they were not interested in us.
Oh, yes, I do remember that. I do recall
Um,
that. Yes.
We were representing the seller in that scenario.
Yes. Yeah, so that's an option before you get to the three options that Crystal had mentioned. But again, this is one of those scenarios though where if the house is on the market and everyone, right, the listing agent, the buyer's agent, the buyer believes that the property is worth, right, the price that the buyer is paying, then the appraisal is really just one opinion. Now, that opinion holds a lot of weight, especially if you don't have that much money to bring to the table.
Absolutely.
That's really when the appraisal really becomes a sticky subject, because if you don't have any cash to bring to the table and then the seller is not interested in reducing that sales price or meeting you somewhere in the middle, that's when the appraised value becomes a sticky subject. And no one wants to be in a position to where either they're bringing additional cash to the table, or for the seller is losing money that
Right?
they've
They
already
anticipated.
Yes.
Yeah, I was expecting to get XYZ at the closing table, and now you're telling me I'm going to get so much less.
So with appraisals, because I want to wrap this segment up, with appraisals, we should see more and more conversations about low appraisals as the market starts to cool off and people start to just do normal things like think about the purchase, right? Just think about your home purchase.
Mm-hmm.
As we start to see people just take their time to buy properties.
To buy a property, yes, because we've been in a place where you've seen a house and you made a decision that day. Like you saw a house Sunday,
house. Like,
and on the drive back, Abraham's getting a phone call. We want to make an offer, right?
Yes.
And so you're talking about a market where you don't have time to sleep on it, and a market where, because perhaps we've had clients who you're losing out on properties.
Right.
So now you're being more aggressive.
Yes.
And so because of that aggression, whether it be through escalation clause or just coming in full price on a property that the comps don't support the list price.
Exactly.
So I think that, as buyers will have to get out of that frame of mind, which is hurry and hustle,
Yes.
which is the mindset they've been in if they've lost some properties. Whereas maybe we won't have that issue with new buyers, but if you have a buyer who's been in the market for a little while, they may be, ready to act and maybe a little bit more cavalier.
I think that the type of buyer will determine what happens with the property, right? So some of our clients, they like to take risk, right? They go to casinos.
You always ask, are you risk averse?
Right.
Yeah.
If you're risk adverse, then this new market that we're in right now is going to be to your liking, right? Days on market are starting to increase, which the numbers show and that we're going to cover. And you're going to appreciate the fact that you're able to take some time to look at properties. But in the spring, right? In the spring, especially in the Northern Virginia area, springtime, buying a house in the springtime is usually hectic. You may be buying a house that is quote unquote over the appraised value, but just remember, appraised value doesn't mean worth, right? It just means that the bank doesn't support that number, and you'll have to come up with some difference. Whew.
All right.
Well, if you're watching this still, let us know in the chat. Let us know in the chat if you've paid over appraised value, or if you'll never pay over appraised value. I would love to hear your thoughts about that. What do you think is the problem with paying over the appraised value? Do you see the appraised value as the true value of the property? If so, why? Let us know in the chat below.
All right.
That was the first segment.
All right.
Now we're going to the sales.
Numbers, yeah.
The numbers. Well, my name is Abraham Walker, and this is Crystal Walker, and we make up the Ask A Walker team. You're watching this video on the Where to Live in Northern Virginia channel. We are YouTubers. We're YouTube real estate agents. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers too.
Yes,
we're almost to 1,000 subscribers. We only have like a couple of days to go. I think we're at 980, 880.
I don't know, but if you ask Theodore, I'm sure he'll know.
Yeah, my youngest son has been tracking our numbers. But anyway, if you have any questions for us, real estate questions about relocating to this area, maybe you're moving in and around the Northern Virginia area, our number and our contact information is down below in this little ticker thing. And there's also a link in the description to the Perfect Home questionnaire. You want to tell them about the Perfect Home Questionnaire?
Yeah, Perfect Home Questionnaire is just a quick survey, a form we have where you can just fill out and give us your contact information, so we can give you a call, let us know what your plans are regarding relocating to Northern Virginia, your time frame, if you have an area in mind already. So if you complete the Perfect Home Questionnaire, which is linked down in the chat below, we'll schedule a Zoom session with you and Abraham so you can discuss your move and he can answer any questions you may have about the area.
Perfect. Okay, excellent. Now let's go to the numbers. Let's see right here. What is this? Oh, okay. Let's see. Boop, boop, boo. Hold on. Let me just get the numbers up. Okay, you gotta fill the space.
I'm sorry. I'm watching Abraham. I apologize. Okay, so let's see. C. Allen said that they actually paid under the appraised value in Florida, but there was water damage the appraiser didn't find. So typically here we also have a home inspection before the appraisal. Usually that's how the timeline works out. I mean, it really, for the most part, appraisals are usually 1 or 2 weeks after we ratify. So hopefully a home inspector would catch something like that. I do know that when a buyer is using like a VA loan, their appraiser does a little bit more of a safety inspection in addition to just the typical appraisal. So you're not just looking at, or that appraiser isn't just looking at the home in comparison to other properties, but they're also looking for safety issues. So hopefully that water damage has been fixed since you made that purchase.
That's true. So if anybody else is watching, please get a home inspection. We highly recommend getting home inspections. Even if the market's crazy, try to figure out some way to get the home inspector in there to look at the property.
Absolutely. Even over the last few months when people were waiving every type of contingency possible, Abraham still expressed to our clients that we did not recommend waiving appraisal for that exact reason, because you just don't know. When you walk into a property to view it for the first time, oftentimes when you're looking at townhomes, you're talking maybe 20 minutes. Single family, perhaps 30. That's a lot of time. And when you waive the home inspection, you will not be in that house again probably until the day of closing.
That's true. That's so true. Okay, now let's look at the numbers. A couple of numbers. I don't want to bore you with all the numbers, but some things that are interesting to me is that if you don't know about Arlington consists of 9 zip codes, right? The average sales price for September 2021, because the October numbers haven't come out yet, even though we're at the end of October. So this information is still useful. The average sales price in September, at the end of September, was $726,000. The number of units sold was 242 for all of Arlington. And so right now we have this little diagram here that shows, or this graphic visual that shows where most of the transactions occur. And this isn't necessarily a surprise to me, but we're usually seeing a lot more transactions towards the more heavily populated areas of the Arlington area. They just have more houses, right? And so because they have more houses, as you can see, these are the different zip codes that represent the Arlington area. There's just going to be more transactions, right? Now, one thing that really stuck out to me is the fact that Arlington right now, the days on market have reached 30 days.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised to hear that.
30 days. Yeah, that's insane when you consider that this is a 9-day increase year over year and a 6-day increase year to date, right? So year over year means from September 2021, when we compare September 2021 to September 2020, what is that increase? And really the reason why we look at that is we want to make sure that we remove seasonality from it. So maybe last year was an election year, right? So that was a big event that could have made a difference in the numbers. But even if you take that out, right? Even if you take that out of consideration, a 9-day drop in days on market.
Well, increase, not drop, right? You said that.
Increase, right? Yeah, a 9-day increase in days on market means that homes are now staying on the market for a week and a half more. This is significant in the sense that now, as a buyer, in Arlington, and if you're buying a home in Arlington, you have more time to think about your purchase, right? You have more time to maybe see more properties. You don't have to feel as pressured. And also, this means that we're going to start to accumulate more inventory, right? And so as inventory accumulates, that means that you will also get to have more of a selection. I said all that, but I'm about to negate all that.
Everything?
I'm
Okay.
about to
You about to
negate
throw a
almost all
butt
of it.
in
Yes.
there?
But we are going into the winter selling season, right? So this is late October. This live stream is being recorded.
Mhm.
And as we move into the winter selling season, we see less houses come on the market.
Mhm.
So while there's more houses on the market right now, those houses are taking longer to sell. The average sales price is also stagnant when you look at it from year over year. That inventory is really going to disappear as we move into the winter season because people just don't like to put their houses on the market during the winter season. So if you are looking for a property,
You'll choose from what's available.
you'll choose from what's available. Now, I will say, the best time to get a deal, right? Because sometimes we have people who are like, Abraham, I want to get a deal. I want to get just a really great price.
Mm-hmm.
The best prices are always had in the winter season. I'm talking about December, January, early February. But as soon as you get into February, really,
We consider that spring.
Yeah, that's kind of like spring. But if you're looking for a deal, right? I'm talking about when it's cold, late December, people are having second thoughts about whether or not the world is going to end. Like people start to say silly things when we get into December. That's time for you to get a deal. Okay, so let's talk about one more thing as far as the data, because I don't want to bore you with the data. Let's see.
All right. So while he is getting that up, okay, you ready?
No, go.
Okay. While he's getting that up, I'll go ahead and let you know another thing we're going to talk about. We're going to stick around in Arlington, and we're going to share in just a minute once he goes over this some of our favorite things about Arlington. Particularly one of our favorite restaurants was recently recognized by, oddly enough, one of our favorite local magazines. And so we're going to share with you, this is probably our favorite place to visit in Arlington. Are you ready?
I'm not ready.
You're not ready? Okay. And so it was actually a nice surprise that when we were reading, what is it? Northern Virginia Magazine, excuse me.
Yes.
We're reading the Northern Virginia Magazine and we actually were like, hey, we know that guy.
Exactly. Okay, so last numbers that I want to look at is the sales by zip codes. This isn't going to really surprise anybody that's a local, but North Arlington is more expensive than South Arlington. And as you can see, the average sales price in the 22207 zip code, which is going to be the second most expensive, is 1.16 million. The most expensive is going to be 22213, which is going to be at 1.22 million. Mm-hmm. One of the main reasons why this 22223 is so expensive is because it borders the Falls Church. So to the west is going to be Falls Church, and then to the north is going to be the McLean area. So that's just a highly desirable part of the county, and you get that trifecta as well. So that's the main numbers I want to share with you. Lastly, I would like to also let you know, if you're a VA buyer, because we do a lot of business with VA buyers who are relocating to the area. 14 of the 242 transactions were VA buyers. That's only 6% of the overall market. The reason why we see less VA sales or less VA transactions has to do with the average sales price, right? So if you're we don't see that many VA buyers that are going above that $700,000 to $800,000 price range, but that really maxes out your VA loan. So when half the county is more expensive than the VA limit, it makes sense why you don't really see as many VA.
Yeah, because then they're bringing more cash to the table.
Exactly. Okay.
All right.
So those are the numbers Anything that stuck out to you there?
You know what I was surprised by? Aside from the days on market, I'm actually surprised that prices, I think you said prices have decreased in Arlington.
Yes.
I was really surprised by that because I don't think that that's the case anywhere in Fairfax County, right?
Well, the prices have decreased year over year. So when you compare September 2020 to September 2021, this year's September's numbers are lower
than
than
last
year's.
September. I'm still surprised by that. I would like to see. I mean, we'll be back in Fairfax County in 2 weeks, but I would like to see where we are in Fairfax.
See, I think it makes sense if you think about the fact that when the pandemic hit in March, sales slowed down for April and May, and then there was just like a boom after that. So I think that comparing this September, which is a slower September, to last year's September, it kind of makes sense. One thing I would be more interested in is to see the numbers for December. You see, because in December we had a banger December last year, and we're in like a traditional market now where things are getting slow right before school starts, which means that they'll most likely get slow in the wintertime. So what is going to happen with those December numbers? That's going to be interesting to see. All right, so which
we're going to Smokecraft. We're going to go ahead. We're going to start with Smokecraft. So we, as I was saying, we have it's actually, I'm gonna be honest, it's not our favorite restaurant in DC or in the DC metro area. That's going to be Mike's American Grill. But our favorite new restaurant is a restaurant we discovered over the summer. So this past summer, we did a barbecue series, Abraham and myself, along with our 2 boys. And we have the videos on our YouTube channel. Every Wednesday during the summer, we took the kids to a new barbecue restaurant throughout the Northern Virginia area, primarily Fairfax County, Arlington, and the city of Alexandria. And we discovered a new restaurant. We'd never heard of it. It actually just opened since the pandemic, and it was called Smokecraft Modern Barbecue. It was hands down our favorite barbecue spot that we discovered. And we liked a few of the places. A couple of places we already knew about and enjoyed, but this place, Smokecraft, which was it the last place we went to or second to last?
Second to last, yes.
And we just were completely blown away by the food. Like, we had never had barbecue so good. We raved about it. In addition to our YouTube video that we put up, we also shared on our local next door in several different Facebook groups. Like, we just could not rave enough about this particular restaurant.
It's a great restaurant. It's delicious food. I think they do a great job with coming up with new concepts.
Yes.
They also are, I would say they're one of the only full service barbecue restaurants we have.
It's a restaurant. It is not like
that's not true. Pork Barrel. Pork Barrel also is a full, I would say, Pork Barrel, Sweet Fire Diane's.
Sweet Fire Diane, yes. Sweet Fire Diane's is also a full service. But this was just like, honestly, if you did not know, and they smoke everything, but if you did not know that they were smoking everything there,
right,
you would just think it was a regular restaurant. They have really interesting spins on every dish, whether it's their sides or their mains, but then they also have traditional barbecue. And when we did our Taste of Northern Virginia barbecue edition. We focused solely on like traditional barbecue.
That's correct.
And so we visited again a few weeks ago. We had family in town, so we wanted to, of course, bring them to our new favorite spot. So we went back a second time a few weeks ago. Thoroughly enjoyed it again. However, the first time we went, we met the owner, the pit master,
right,
Andrew. And we did not get to see him for our second visit. And that's because he was actually competing in this really exclusive barbecue competition. It's the Jack Daniel's Barbecue Invitational. So obviously by invitation only, right? And he actually placed and did really well. He came in 5th for his pork and 8th overall, which they say like people who've never entered before never win this competition. So I'm never placed in the competition. He placed 8th overall, and he did the best for our region, for the Mid-Atlantic region.
That's true.
So we're very impressed, and just so this actually took place the day we went back to the restaurant again.
And there's a reason why he placed. The food is good.
Food is bananas.
The food is good. They have a great YouTube channel too that you should visit if you are into preparing this kind of stuff yourself, or do yourself a favor. Do yourself a favor and just go. You'll love it. But congratulations to Andrew and his crew.
Put up that question, that latest question there. Is there a discount restaurant season in Northern Virginia? Yes, we actually have a couple of restaurant weeks. I want to say it's usually like spring and fall. I know for a fact, actually, today is the last day of Arlington's restaurant week. Which I didn't mention it during this video because today is the last day.
Right,
but
yeah,
so, unless you're gonna try and get a dinner reservation now. But so, the city of Alexandria, Fairfax County, and even in DC, they all have. I want to say they have 2 restaurant weeks a year each. Because I know that I've been in Alexandria like in the summertime.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Excellent.
Excuse me. The restaurant weeks are great for that, like great discounts. Also, they have like the 3-course meals where you get an appetizer, entree, and dessert.
Yeah, a little prefix meal or limited selection. So yeah,
we'll have to do something like that. Like maybe go maybe do like a whole week with the fellas.
A whole week with the
we might as well. A
whole week. We won't go once. We won't go. He doesn't say we'll go to one. He says we'll do a whole week.
The channel wants it. Like isn't
I want the week off from cooking. So
the
let's
audience
do it.
wants us to go try that. Thank you so much, Alan, for that recommendation. See that Alan wants us to do it too.
There you go.
He hasn't said it yet, but he wants us to do it too.
Sounds like I get a week off of cooking. Excellent.
So what's the next? What's the next topic?
All right. So in addition to talking to you about the market and a few things that are happening as far as real estate transactions, we also want to tell you about some things to do in the different areas. So we're going to talk to you about a couple of things that we enjoy doing in each place. So today we're talking about Arlington. We're going to tell you about a few places we've been that we've enjoyed and like to visit, and also some place I'm eager to try. So we're going to go ahead and start with the airplanes. Gravelly Point.
Gravelly Point. Okay.
Yes. So one of the things that we discovered, and just really quickly before I get into that, I want to share with you things that locals like to do. So I think that when you move to Northern Virginia, a lot of people will tell you about all the great museums that we have. I
think that. Well, you can keep on talking.
Okay. So I think that a lot of people will share with you that that we have so many great museums, which we do, and they're all in DC, and they're fantastic. And as a local, I absolutely think that you should take advantage of those things. And at the same time, there are some things that are enjoyable for you, even when you are no longer a tourist and you're just trying to enjoy living in Northern Virginia. One of the things that we discovered when we first moved here was Gravelly Point Park. It is essentially it is a park that's located right outside of Reagan National Airport. And essentially, it's just this patch of green space that's right off the Mount Vernon Trail and the GW Parkway. And there you can actually watch airplanes depart. And also you can watch them take off and also land. It's a really cool place to get pictures. You can see some pictures here that Abraham is showing of the planes taking off and landing. It's a cool place to have a picnic and just hang out. Sometimes we'll go, we haven't been in a while, but you'll go and just lay out and watch the planes take off. We actually have been saying for the last few weekends that we want to take the boys back there on a Sunday morning.
If you do go to Gravelly Park, just know that it gets packed towards the end of the day. Mm-hmm. There's limited parking as well. It's a popular destination because in addition to having the section of the park that is set up to watch the planes land and land and take off, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you do both. There's also just like green space as well. And this is also one of the biggest parking lots to go into DC on like the jogging trails as well, because it provides you the quickest access to the monument section if you're a jogger or even if you like to bike.
Yeah, so if you're not too far, biking is not a bad idea because again, you're right there on that trail that connects Virginia to DC. So if you enjoy biking, that actually would not be a bad idea. Yes. Because parking can be hectic. The times that we've gone super early in the morning, so that hasn't been an issue for us. So if you're an early riser, might be good for you.
Yes, exactly. So this is where Gravelly Point is on the map right here, and this is the more popular bridge on the left hand side right here. We have Arlington National Cemetery, and then we have the Lincoln Memorial right over here. So it's common for people to park right here. This is like the biggest, like I said, this is the biggest parking structure. That yes, you can ride bikes there as well. Yes, yes, you can ride bikes there as well. So this is the biggest parking lot before you get to the Arlington Memorial Bridge. So people will take the trail right along this way. And it's a beautiful walk.
I mean, along the Potomac River, it's just
Yes.
beautiful.
It's a gorgeous. And this is the perfect weather for it too as well. We're in the fall season right now before it gets chilly. Way too chilly. Excellent.
Way too chilly.
All right, you talk about that. Let me try to get this camera.
Okay. All right. So next up, it's fixed. I don't know what you did. You got out of my frame, and the camera's fixed.
Oh,
thank you. It was.
okay.
Is it your shirt? Is that the problem? You think?
I don't know.
All right. Well, so next up we have one of my favorite hikes. If you're familiar at all with our channel, you know Abraham and I enjoy hiking. We have several videos on the channel of us visiting different national parks in Northern Virginia and even a few in DC. So Theodore Roosevelt Island is one of my absolute favorites. It is technically in DC. However, I'm including it in today's video because it is literally across the street. Oh, look, it's showing now. We're literally across the street from Arlington. Like that's Roslyn right there. So I included it in today's video because if you're in Arlington right there, you might as well head on over to Theodore Roosevelt Park. So it's one of my favorite hikes that we do. We've been countless times at this point. And it's really beautiful trails. There's an incredible boardwalk. I think our favorite time of year to hike is right now, fall, when all the leaves are changing. Even this video, I think it looks like that may have been winter.
I think this is more winter.
But we absolutely love, it's winter. But we absolutely love Theodore Roosevelt Island. The boardwalk there, so beautiful along the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. You can see the Potomac River. It's just one of my favorite hikes each year.
If you are big into YouTubers, one of the biggest YouTubers on the planet, Mr. Beast, just had an episode that he filmed at Roosevelt Island.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So it was I guess maybe less than a minute that he was at the island, but it was Roosevelt Island that he was at when he did his, I think he did some type of bounty with a U.S. Marshal or something like that to find him. So that happened at Roosevelt Island. One of the things I like the most about Roosevelt Island, and I'll try to see, let me speed up through it. There's a boardwalk. I think you mentioned the boardwalk.
Yes, I did mention. That's my favorite part.
So this is the boardwalk part of the tour. As you can see, it doesn't look as lively.
Yes. The marsh is it was December. It was December when we took this walk.
Yes.
So it was a little, lacking for greenery at that time of year. But I still love, we still go hiking even in the winter. So that tells you how much we enjoy it.
And so this is the part of the walk I think is like one of the best parts of the island, which is going to be the monument. And also they have like these, let's see, there we go.
There it is.
There's also like these little tablets, these large tablets that have these great quotes. There's Teddy right there as well. So check out Theodore Roosevelt Island. This is going to be another place too. You're going to want to go early. You want to go early because this is one of the larger parking structures at the end of the George Washington Memorial Parkway, that trail. Right? And so there's going to be so many active people in this region.
Yes.
And they will be out.
So. Yes. So we usually don't go on weekends. We've gone once on a Saturday, another time on a Sunday, and both times we had a harder time. We still found parking in the parking lot, but we had to park a little bit farther away. So we typically go on weekdays. If you're going to visit on a weekend, you can expect to be a little bit crowded.
Yep. Excellent. And what's next on the list?
Next up is the place I would like to visit, although I'm not sure if I'm going to make it. So we're talking about the observation deck at Central Place. So it is that's not it. It's the observation deck at Central Place, which is essentially probably going to have the best views of DC in Virginia. So it's a glass windows from floor to ceiling, and you can see like 360 views of DC. And it has a lot of cool features. including there's this one part with the windows of history. So when you're looking out of the window, you can actually see they have these interactive tablets which allow you to see a brief history of what you're viewing. So if you're viewing the Potomac River, there's, an interactive menu there where you can hear about the history of the Potomac River, things that have happened at that location. It's a really cool place to enjoy. They have like happy hour. There's an outdoor terrace area, which you can also hang out. I think that's where the happy hours are. The only issue, and the reason I say I'm not sure if I'm ever going to make it, is I am petrified of heights. And I don't typically do well, even indoors in high buildings. And so it looks like an absolutely beautiful place. And it's on my list of places to check out soon. I just have not convinced myself to check it out just yet.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. They have great views. If you're into the views, like look at this view right here.
I know you would love it. Abraham loves a good view. It's one of he loves to take pictures. And so I know he would absolutely love it. But I just don't know if I'm going to be able to accompany him.
And I know that they had different hours because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not quite sure if what the accessibility of this place is right now. But there isn't another place with better views.
Mm-hmm. And the outdoor terrace has a view of the National Mall, and I absolutely love the National Mall, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. But we're going to try. It's on our list before the end of the year. I would like to go before the weather changes too much more. So we'll see if that happens. If so, we'll include the images in a future video.
Excellent. So good. So that's one more thing to do in Arlington. Well,
I have one more thing. I want to talk about the schools. So oftentimes this is a question that comes up again and again about our schools here in Northern Virginia. We feel thankful to live in a place that has so many great school systems. Arlington actually has, according to niche.com and also US News, the top school system. Well, no. It has the second best school system because Loudoun is crushing it. Everyone knows that Loudoun has really highly rated schools.
Tracy said hello.
Hey there, Tracy.
Love this. Hey, Tracy.
Excellent.
We're going to see Tracy this weekend.
We are. So Arlington does have, however, the #1 rated elementary school in the state of Virginia. And that's according to Niche and US News. If you guys watched a few weeks ago, I shared that US News is now rating elementary schools. US News is actually my preferred website when I'm looking into research for schools. When it came to our kids, when I was researching schools, this is what I think of as the most reliable source for what I'm looking for, primarily because they focus more on test scores and less on individual feedback. It's really more for high schools. They focus more on AP, the percentage of students taking AP courses, and also they focus on graduation rates, which are also very important to me. So more recently, within the last few weeks, they started to also rate elementary schools, and I'm really interested in diving more deeply into that. But the one thing I did find out is that the #1 elementary school in Northern Virginia, in the state of Virginia, is Arlington Traditional Elementary School, which is the only magnet school, as far as elementary schools in the immediate area.
Right.
So here in Fairfax County, we don't have magnet schools on the lower levels. What we have instead are advanced placement programs, and we have advanced placement programs, which are, if you have a student who is in a typical regular public elementary school, they may be in advanced placement classes. And then we have advanced placement centers, and that's going to be when your child doesn't go to the primary school they would have been assigned to, and instead they're bused to another nearby school where they're in classes all day with students who are also in advanced placement.
Right.
And so in Arlington, they actually have one magnet school that services all of Arlington.
And
so
just to be clear, though, Arlington is much smaller than
significantly
Fairfax
smaller,
County, right? So whereas, so Arlington is significantly smaller. So they don't need as many schools to service the area.
This is true. So they can have one magnet school that services the entire county. And so this school, which is currently located in Southern Arlington, I say currently because there is some debate about whether or not they're going to be moving the school. But anyway, so this school is actually rated as the #1 school public elementary school in the state of Virginia. A lot of people want to know when they're looking into the area about school ratings. And so to find out that the #1 school in the state is here in Arlington, I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Excellent. And you can find out more information, like Crystal said at the beginning, on Niche or US News, which are two great resources that we use on a regular basis.
All the time.
Yes.
All the time.
Excellent. Let's get to some of these questions. So we already said hello to Tracy.
Let's see what we have here.
And 2000, Connie said, yes, I highly recommend. She's talking about the view.
Yes.
You have to be an Arlington resident or a guest of the resident to go for free.
That's true. And we are not Arlington residents. So if Connie, if you want to invite us to go along,
we'll be there.
We'll take
we
you
will be
up on
there.
that. Otherwise, it looks like we'll pay for tickets soon.
Excellent. So I guess let's end this section with why don't we live in Arlington?
Why don't we live in Arlington? You know, so here's the thing, right? So when you sell real estate, you see all these properties and you fall in love with these different places. And this has happened to us a couple of times. All right, Connie.
It's a date, Connie.
So you fall in love with all these different places. And I feel like the first 5 years that we lived here, we were constantly falling in love with different areas. And I think this was in like 2016. We're helping the Burks, right?
Okay.
And we were seriously considering moving to Arlington.
Right.
So why didn't we move to Arlington?
The main reason we didn't move to Arlington is really because of diversity, right?
Yes.
So
and that actually ends up being the reason why we.
Wait, did you want me to answer or not?
Okay, wait, answer the question.
Okay, excellent. So the main reason why we didn't move to the Arlington area is because of diversity. So we moved to Northern Virginia to put our boys into a better environment, an overall better environment.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't see school ratings as the primary criteria for the overall school experience.
Mm-hmm.
And for our boys are now 11 and 13. We wanted them to be in an environment where there was more people that look like them, to be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we're from New Orleans, and so New Orleans doesn't have that much diversity as far as races.
There's not much racial diversity.
Right.
There's more, socioeconomic diversity there.
Yes.
And so for us, we came from a place where everyone looked like us in New Orleans. This is majority Black at the school. Well, everywhere. I mean, every mayor growing up was every doctor I ever went to, every professional that I knew. Right. And so moving here was a culture shock for us, not for the boys, because we moved here when our boys were so young.
Yes.
And so I think that for us, they've already lived in a place where I think that where we live now is more reflective of what the country looks like.
Right.
And as you move to more higher cost of living areas, it looks less and less like the rest of America.
Right. There's just less diversity.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I don't know how that would affect my children. And like
Mm-hmm.
I said, we moved here for our children. So they're like any type of move we make, we have them in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't wrap my head around moving to an area where, great, yeah, they'll have better public schools, right? They'll have higher rated public schools.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Fairfax County public schools are already they perform
Yes.
so much better than the rest of Virginia, especially in New Orleans, that I don't know if I want to keep on moving to chase another Star or
Yes.
another Apple or whatever. And in addition to diversity, I just think that you have to decide which area you're going to make your community, right? And so we already left a place that was our hometown,
Mm-hmm.
and we moved somewhere. And we've already been in the Kingstown area.
And we've made a community.
And we made a community. And to rip the boys out from that community just to get them into a higher rated public school is just not something that interests me. Now, Arlington itself, the location interests me because I am a city rat.
Yes.
Right? I love the city.
Mm-hmm.
I could go to sleep to some sirens, gunshots. Like
All of
that's my thing.
And just so you know, that's exactly why we're not moving to DC, because we've always had this conversation about when the kids move, we will leave we won't leave the suburbs. We'll leave this part. So we do plan on actually moving to Arlington when the boys are in college, is what we've said.
Right.
But just not right now while they're in school.
Yes.
And that actually, oddly enough, this conversation, this is what I was alluding to when we first started talking about this, is that we fall in love with areas. We really like them. We do a lot of research, even just researching stuff for the channel, for the website. I start to find out things about an area, and we start to view homes in an area, and we like, oh, we could live there.
We could live there.
We could totally live
there.
here. I like this area. I love the community, the beautiful homes. It's close to creature comfort, these different things. You sell yourself on it. And more often than not, it has come down to the schools for us. We're like, you know what? We don't know if we would be willing to move the boys. We've already made this commitment to this community that we're in now.
Right.
So it looks like for now, while we still have the little ones, at least,
yeah,
Arlington is going to be a no-go for us.
One more thing I want to talk about that I think is amazing about Northern Virginia, and I sold real estate in New Orleans as well, so I had more market knowledge or I was more knowledgeable about just the overall region. And the beautiful thing about Northern Virginia, right? So you're watching this video, maybe you're moving to the area, maybe you live in the area. If you live in the area, you don't really know what you have because you got to talk to people who are not from this area, and they tell you about their locations. The beautiful thing about living here is that we have so many great places to live. It's not just one location that's special,
or one suburb. You're like, oh, you got to move to this one suburb.
I got to move to this block. I got to move to Northern Virginia is just the because we have such great public schools. You don't have that fear of, or you don't have that concern for your children to move them to an area where you either have to pay for private school or you have to deal with some type of lottery or you have to do all these other things that a lot of people in the rest of America have to deal with. And I don't think that people in Northern Virginia really understand what other parents go through when they consider their children, right? Because you know, your children, you have this bond with them. They mean a lot to you. And then when you come here and you could just relax.
It's not top of mind. Like, we moved here when our oldest son, kid you not, we moved here 3 weeks before Abraham II started kindergarten.
Right, that's our oldest.
And he is now in 8th grade, right? But before we made that move, we were looking at private schools in New Orleans, and we also were looking at applications for charter schools, like lottery applications. And I couldn't even fathom that at that time, that I was actually going to have to complete an application and hope that he got into
a particular school.
Like, I could not.
It's almost like a college. You're like
it's like admissions, right? It's like, and so I could not believe that. And even now, my sister just recently went through it. My niece is in 10th grade now, they're still in New Orleans, and she went through the lottery system to get into one of the better high schools in New Orleans. And I just can't believe that that is actually a thing, because here in Northern Virginia, you just live in a nice neighborhood and everything works out,
That's true. Last point on this topic. If you have any questions while we ramble through this part of the live stream, let us know. We've only been on for 52 minutes. We like to make these at least an hour, right? Answer any questions that you may have. So post any questions that you may have. If you're watching this on a replay, post your comments down below. We'll also answer those as well. One of the things that I've noticed is, after running this channel, is that we get a lot of people who ask us questions about diversity, right? And
we just had that this week.
And unfortunately, diversity is tied to cost of living up here, right? And so as you move into the more expensive areas, diversity starts to decrease. That's just the way it is here. I think it's that way in most of America. And so that's the thing that you have to deal with, that balance, right? Of, if you are looking for a diverse area, then you may have to lose out on the school ratings, right? Like the school ratings and diversity can't be.
They're not. They go hand in hand, honestly. And just in opposite directions, right? And I think that one thing that we found in talking to other families, and I think this is just, it's an advantage that you have, and we spoke about this earlier today, an advantage that you have in knowing people is you can have a conversation. Because someone recently told us, oh, well, you should find out about a school's PTA, and that sounds great in your head, but how do you find out about a school's PTA if you're relocating? So
Right.
you're only relying on internet resources, and so you can only look at what's available online. But what I think you'll find is if you do enough research online and you do read some reviews of the schools, I think that you'll find for the most part people are pretty satisfied overall. With the public schools in the Northern Virginia region.
Yes, I think so. I think that if you're moving to this area, you have lucked up. This place is
We like
not
it.
normal.
We like it so much.
We do. This place is not normal. I gotta say, like, if you coming from New Orleans and moving here, like you just don't have so many of the worries that you have with living in a traditional large metropolitan area.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that we are insulated because we don't live in a city. We have access to the city. We can get to DC in 25 minutes from our front door. However, we're not in the mix of things.
Yes.
Which is what I prefer anyway. So,
but if you're moving to Arlington, you're so close to DC.
And so lucky.
Also, you have all those restaurants. You have so much to do in Arlington. You can get to the airport quickly as well. All these.
You only have like what 6 years? You'll make it.
That's true.
That's
true. Well, if you're watching this on the replay, or if you're still here with us, what we covered today, the first segment was about low appraisals, about how the market is shifting slightly and how low appraisals is going to be a common topic moving forward. So if you're buying a property, your real estate agent should be having a conversation with you about the appraisal, about whether or not what to do if the home doesn't appraise, as the prices start to either become stagnant or start to decrease slightly. We also talked about the market stats numbers, the numbers for September for Arlington. The biggest standout number that even Crystal agreed to is that homes are now taking a full month to sell, 30 days. Could you imagine?
I'm just surprised.
30
that's
days.
Not a long time, right? That's still a seller's market, right? But oddly enough, it just seems so long after the last 12 months.
That's true. That's true. Then we talked about the Virginia's #1 elementary school. We also talked about Smokecraft, our favorite restaurant, our favorite barbecue restaurant in the DMV area. It's probably the best barbecue. I believe it's the best barbecue restaurant. And I've been to a lot. In the area, they won they placed in the Jack Daniels Open, which I believe is only 700 pitmasters are even invited to this. We talked about a couple things to do in the Arlington area, Gravelly Point Park, which you can watch airplanes take off and land. And there's also a park setting there. You can also take a bike or jog into the DC area. There's also the View. This is the wrong name, but I think it's the View.
It's the observation deck at Central Place, actually.
Right. Well, the name of it is the View of DC. If you're Googling this, the View of DC, where you can actually observe a lot of the Arlington, well, not Arlington, but the DC area from high up and at a high elevation. And then lastly, we talked about Theodore Roosevelt Island, which is on our walking tour on our YouTube channel. So go and check that out. Whoa. Woo. Well,
that's everything you talked about today?
That was everything we talked about. I think this was a great live stream. We want to thank all of our viewers for watching. Thank you so much. Also, thank you for engaging in the content. If you have any questions, we still answer those questions. So put them in the comment section. If you want to get in touch with us for either a perfect home questionnaire where we talk about your options of moving to the area or moving around the area, there is a link in the description. Click the link, fill out the form, and we will schedule a time to do a Zoom session with you to talk about all of your needs. My phone number, or the company's phone number, is right down here as well. Phone number and email address is down here as well if you need to get immediate access to us. And that's it.
That's it?
That's it.
All right. Excellent.
Excellent. We'll see you on the next video. Tune in next week.
City of Alexandria.
City of Alexandria. We're covering City of Alexandria next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday.
That's correct.
Wednesday. Peace.